Eyes on Fishing with Mitch Peterson, Josh Sheldon, and Brad Qualley, leading you to the next level.
Everybody, welcome back to All Eyes on Fishing. We are going to get into, this came from a listener too, and after we...
Well, it's kind of a hybrid from a listener.
Yeah, it was a hybrid. It wasn't a direct...
A hybrid listener?
But,
No, a hybrid us.
Question.
Yeah, well, he asked a question and we went nuts.
Yeah, he asked a question that kind of spurred the three of us talking about this. In our last podcast, we actually touched on a little bit. We started talking probably about it, but we're like, we need to tape this because it's pretty cool. And in most boats, I don't even think you could find maybe 5% of the boats, and that's probably high, that don't have this.
Don't have it or have it?
That don't have it. That's sonar. I would say most boats that are out there actively fishing boats. You know, I'm not talking people that are just out paddleboard boat, if what they're calling it, but a lot of people have. I don't even know the percentage. It doesn't matter. But if you are out there and you're using graphs, or
Sure.
sonar or whatever for fish location, whatever that is.
A fish finder.
Yes. Whatever that is, whether they're old or new.
Whether it has paper reels.
Yes. You know, and it's funny because I fished paper reels.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. The first time I ever did paper reels was probably back in, I'm going to say it was 80.
Was it a Lowrance?
Yes, it was Lawrence.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I'm assuming so because they were the ones that came out with it. But we're talking sonars. So anyway, let me get into this. So it's probably low 80s, 81, 82, like that. We went up to Lake Michigan.
You were like 35?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, shit. It felt like it. No, I was at low teens, like 13, 14. And we went up and we were in Lake Michigan. We were king salmon fishing and we were trolling. And sure enough, that's what the captain had. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. He had this graph paper.
Yeah.
And he had to change it.
Yep.
And they had these big rolls, you know what I mean, that looked like, well, you remember the old Addy machines?
Yeah.
It was just that, but they were like 10 inches long or 8 inches long. I mean, long and then just packed full of paper and change them out.
Yep.
No, I've never seen one. Fished with it,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Yep.
But anyway, so we've came a long way since then. I know that I've fished, and there's a difference between flashers. Flashers were kind of came out too for even some of the regular boats, but she's predominantly ice fishing now. But there's still guys that will use a flasher for different things. Yeah. But predominantly ice fishing. And then we got into, I remember my first fish finder that I remember having was an Eagle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Eagle was a Lawrence knockoff.
It was.
The generic Lowrance kind of.
It was. And the bottom line, and those are all knockoffs, right? Yeah. And they were all that.
Bottom line. I remember that.
I know a buddy of mine up in Fort Collins still has a bottom line on his boat. Still works great.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, you know,
black and white.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
The ping speed on them and everything is so slow, right? The pixels are so bad.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is if you're fishing a lake, though, that you know really well, and you know that when we're talking tournament fishing, we always talk about going from A to B to C and having a plan and working an area and don't fish a memory. But when you are fishing, you're going to start off with a memory, especially if you're just going off fun fishing. Like, April, May, they're usually here, right?
Well, you can't help it, right?
You can't. You
know the lake so well.
But that's what's perfect about even something like it's a bottom line.
Yeah.
If you're just going there and you don't really care if you're seeing fish, we use it more now to identify the structure and what we're seeing around the structure and fish. But when I first used it, when I first used it, remember you used to have the fish. The fish ID,
fish signals, yeah.
Bing, 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 bing,
yeah.
bing,
fish alarm,
and it was like, Jesus, turn that shit off.
Yeah,
it drive me nuts. But you're really using it to keep yourself on breaks, right? You're using it to find a point. I mean, if that's what I'm assuming those guys are using it for, because that's what it still does. Okay, it still echoes the bottom well. Yeah. It just doesn't. It's because it doesn't matter how pixelated or ping speed. It's a solid bottom.
Right. Yep.
Even if it's sandy mud, it still gives you a good echo.
Right.
So today's stuff. You want high ping speeds, you want great echoes, because
we can tell you how many branches are on the tree.
But you can.
Yep.
You sure can.
Oh, absolutely.
You can
if it's laying down, if it's standing up, if it's
you can see the shadows of a tree from where the sun is. That's how much better they are now. And but those, like the bottom lines, the Eagles, things like that, they still work if you're using them for that.
Heck yeah.
If you're just, if you want to say, I always come up to this point and I'm going to fish
They're
it,
a great
it's just
depth
a depth finder.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
So keep them. if it's working, like you said, your buddy's working a bottom line, or yours did?
Yeah, he's got one still.
Yeah.
Orange and black. They had the kind of the flatter screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still got one. When we went out with him last summer, and he pulled the boat out of storage, and I was like, "Holy cow! What in the world is that?"
Is on his dash.
Yeah, he's got that. And he goes, "Well, it's not quite as fancy as yours." I go, "I think it's older than me." I was like, "I'm pretty sure that came out when I was like in 3rd grade." And he's like, "Yeah, probably." But it worked. Came right on. Boat fired up. Bottom line fired up, and off we went.
And you used it for a depth finder.
Yeah.
You knew where you're at for depth.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So,
Works great,
it
like
was
if you're
interesting.
fishing a channel and stuff, or you want to stay in the channel, or just on the. Tells you how deep you are.
Yeah, so you don't hit the
I
bottom.
don't think it's real reliable for echoes for fish because it's such a slow ping speed. But and even when you turn it up, the echo.
I don't know. It was
Sensitivity, it
just crazy.
seems like you get a lot of clutter in them. It's just.
Oh, yeah. Just the technology. It's older.
Yeah, it's like the difference between. Remember when we probably don't, Josh, but when you had the first Brickmar bag phones? We're not fishing bag phones, but that's like a bag phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's in a bag.
Yeah.
It still works.
Yeah.
Not real good. Well, I don't know
Those
if it
bag
still
phones
works.
were
I don't even know.
Those big phones worked. Like they probably still would be the best cell phones on the market if they.
I don't know. I don't even know if they would work nowadays. Because
Well,
they can't probably interface with today's
These great
towers.
big jammers.
Oh yeah.
Well,
dude.
the big jammers, but then the ones that actually in the bag, so you get the extra battery. You can talk for like 60 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and you plug it into your
Cigarette
lighter.
cigarette lighter, yeah. Cigar lighter.
Man.
Who calls it a cigar lighter?
Cigar smokers. Like, hey, where's your cigar lighter?
Yeah. Yeah.
It should be called a cigar because it's the size of a cigar.
Right.
They don't even put them in cars.
Stupid!
anymore.
Whoever named it a cigarette lighter? Now it's a 12-volt adapter, but cigarette.
Yeah.
It's not even that. They don't even put them in cars anymore. You got one in your new truck?
Yep,
You do?
in the back.
I don't.
Got one.
I have nothing that even looks like it. Everything in mine is USB
No,
or
I got one in the back, but
or
the rest of my
lightning.
stuff's all USB, and yours is 12-volt plug-in
Yeah, I've got 12.
Yeah, I got a
have
plug in.
Yeah,
I got a plug.
I've got 2 cigarette lighter.
cigar.
Yeah.
Or
It's
Colin
a cigar lighter.
Well, but it doesn't. But they're
There's no
more.
lighter.
No,
It's-
there's no lighter anymore. It's just a power port.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
for a
yeah, it
round
didn't come
plug-in.
with
How
it,
could
Yeah.
you buy?
Aftermarket.
Probably would melt it.
My-
Probably night.
my Sierra, my 04 Sierra, the one I
Yeah,
got rid of, I had one. Yeah, and it had the lighter, like it,
worked.
Yeah, and the only difference was there was no ashtray. Got pulled out, and it was just a
Change cap.
slide open compartment.
Or to put like your drink
change,
holder or
yeah,
something.
change. I had a whole bunch of change in there.
My old F-150 had one. My 2007
Oh, did?
had it, and then you slid out, and there was a
Yeah.
drink holder with some change
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And I took the cigar lighter, out of it because you need to use it at the time to be able to charge your phones, right?
Yes.
To plug it in because it was like the only one.
Yep.
Well, after a while, you pull it out, you put change in there. That thing got piled up full of coins,
Yeah,
dimes and stuff,
Yeah.
and then nothing worked.
yeah.
I had to plug it into because there was one behind the console in the back seat. You plug it in there. That's what I did.
Oh, yeah,
Because you didn't put change in there.
yeah. No, my truck now it
It's
doesn't.
terrible design.
You guys are talking about cigar lighters and we're talking about sonar stuff.
I know, but
But the moral of the story is,
Shit's old, but
as
still
things
works.
change,
It
technology
progresses.
changes,
Yeah, yep.
and we adapt, and it's better.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's way better. I mean,
if you guys could sit like when we're going on a road trip, we get on the stupidest topics, like cigar lighters.
Right.
Still
No, we
talking
haven't-
about it.
That's what we haven't done. Is the three of us have never gone and taken like a trip to like Erie.
No,
We've never done a road trip.
We thought about it, but then when I went to Escanaba for like 10 days, I was like, dude, that's enough.
Yeah. And
what a piece of trash.
and when Brad warned me, and you only had to tell me once. I believe I gotcha. Thank you.
What a piece
You
of
know how
trash.
long that drive was?
Oh, whatever.
It was 18. It felt like 28. I was like, holy shit. I knew it.
Dude, we rolled like champs. We were in Des Moines before we knew it. We blinked and we were in Des Moines. I was like, dude,
Josh was having such a good time because someone was actually talking to him.
I had to hear
I've
about
got a friend.
Yeah,
You got a friend in me.
yeah.
Anyway, let's get
dude,
back to
whatever.
the topic.
But that would be
Sonar.
fun. Like we should go do Erie. Like whether it be that fall
Let's just
brawl
go to
or
Hawaii.
Hawaii'd be fun too.
Let's fly to Green Bay and go see our friends.
We got
Alex
guys
and
up there.
Randy.
You know what? Alex and Randy. Alex Ultimatum Charters, and then Randy Big Country Charters.
Yep.
And tell you about if you want to get on some small lanes or some just fantastic eyes, give those guys a call. But we fish with them a lot. I mean,
Great dudes.
yeah, fish with them here. I mean, we fish with them all over the place. Yeah, good guys. But that's what we should do. Screw driving up there. Let's fly up, use their boat. They got all the top equipment. We'll just go.
It's about a 2-hour flight. I can deal with it. Yeah.
2 hours. But you put your headphones in. It's just really walking through the airport and back.
Once you put your headphones in.
You know what we're gonna do? When we are walking in there and he's gonna start talking, I'm gonna just put my earphone in. And he'll know what it means.
I gotta put up with this.
I know.
This is like charity.
So your
I should
first-
be able to put you both on my taxes.
So your first sonar, what was it? When
March
you
of
had
Dimes.
your first Ranger, or did you have a sonar on your boat before that?
Yeah, on the old Ranger I had
Gen 1 for sure.
yeah, I mean it was just it came with an old
Hummingbird?
Eagle.
Eagle.
An
And,
Eagle 2C?
It was something I can't even remember.
Remember
but
the M56 Lowrance that we had on the Greenpeace?
Well,
We'll talk about that in a minute. Go
I
ahead.
think you had an Eagle on it before I bought it.
I
And
did.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
Pam-
yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, I don't even remember. They weren't matching, and
they didn't talk to each other.
and they were tiny. And I don't even think I used them actually. I think I immediately bought a 5. I think I bought a 5 or a 7.
Oh, Jesus, if you bought a 7, that was like $4,000 back then.
No, it was probably a 5 then. I think I bought a 5 on sale, and it was black and white. And then like 2 years later, I got that what was it? Like LX11 or something.
Yes,
It was
we both had those.
super, like that was top
We
of the
both
line
had
right
that.
before color.
Yes, it was top of light
Yep.
black. We had the exact same one.
Yep.
And mine lasted about year 3, and then it just stopped working, and I was sick.
And I sold mine with the boat.
Ugh.
So, but what I had done is I put it up front because it was still working, and I put color on the console.
You got the HDS 7.
Yes,
That was your first one.
first color, and then I sold the boat a few months later and got the Ranger, and then the Ranger had all the Gen 2s, which were top of the line right then.
They just came out.
They had just come out. And they were, because the Gen 1 were out and they were color and had the maps and stuff, but Gen 2 were just brand new, and mine was brand new, and it did everything. That's when
And
side scan
what
and
year
down
was
scan.
that? 2016?
14 or 15. The
No.
boat's a 13. Yeah, it was only a year old when I bought it from Dan.
Oh, that was 2.
It was like a year and 6 months or something. It was going to be 2 that spring. So it was 2 when I finally got to use it. But I bought it in October, November the year before.
Yeah.
And so it was probably 15 when I got to use it.
Yeah.
And had structure scan and down scan were brand new then. So I had both of those, which were,
Phenomenal.
Super cool. Yes.
And then and I just recently updated to the carbons. So finally, after
5, 6 years.
7 years, I updated the carbons. And Active Target.
Yeah.
Which is just like going to school every time we use it.
It's so fun.
Yep.
It's a game changer. We'll get more into that. We'll get more into
It's
Active
going to be our
Target.
next level.
It will. We'll talk about Active Target, side scan, down scan, what that means, what you can see with it.
Yeah, the new down scan and side scan is just
That's phenomenal.
use them in
Unbelievable.
conjunction with the
Well,
Active Target.
and then the way they interface, just a whole bunch of different things. And by no means, I don't want anybody to think that we are like the Lowrance experts like Dan is. Dan Swanson is,
Yep.
he's one of their staff that he can talk back and forth, but we've used him enough that we have a pretty good idea of how to use these things. So yeah, we'll get more on that in the next level. Mitch, we had the Greenpeace. So I had a 14-foot boat, sold it to Mitch.
Yep.
I had the Eagle on it. I think we bought the M56 together because we were fishing it, and then you kept it.
Yes.
Is that what it was?
That's what it was.
Well, didn't you guys had one that you baked at Sterling, didn't you?
That was the original. So that was the M56.
Yes.
And
It was a 3-inch, the first GPS.
Well, no. The first one was the cheap M56, and I think the GPS one was like a higher number.
You had a color one.
I'm looking that up.
You exploded a color one in the truck.
Yes,
Remember?
and that didn't have GPS. So
Yes.
whatever that one was, it didn't have
And
GPS.
it was small. It was
And-
a tiny display.
Yep. So then I upgraded with the same size unit, that little like 3-inch screen,
Yeah.
but that had GPS. And right at that same time, in my little Greenpeace, had a 10-horse Honda on the back.
M56 was their first sonar one. That was the one that we
Okay,
had.
yeah. So the upgraded one was. Does that have GPS?
Yes, it's their first one. This is what we need to use for our picture.
Yeah.
Because it is so cool.
Well, I tell you what. So
Screenshot and send it to me.
So that sonar is small and cheesy as it was.
It
right?
worked great.
It worked.
Yeah.
And two things. In my little 14-foot boat, I'd go out on my own a lot. Well, that little sonar, I couldn't see it. My eyes suck. And sometimes I'm back on the excuse me, my big motor.
Getting an old man.
My big motor, the 10 horse, trolling or whatever. Yeah. And I needed my sonar back there by me. And then sometimes I was up on the front running my trolling motor. So I made a little wooden base that I screwed it to with a long
like
cable.
a 12-foot cable.
Yeah, and it would just go with me to the front of the boat. I'd sit it down on the deck, no problem, worked great. I'd bring it back, sit it next to me on the
funny what we used to do, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But it worked great.
Yeah,
and the GPS thing. Awesome. Bean and I, Brennan, Jigging King Babbitt, and I were out on Chatfield years ago when I first got it in this early spring. And of course, it was sun's going down. It's dark. Well, the squall rolls in. You could not see. We were way down on the far end in the snow where you couldn't even hardly see past the boat. And we're in the Greenpeace. Oh yeah, I was like, no fear. Let's let the GPS bring us home.
It did though.
And I took us with zero visibility in my boat in the middle of Chatfield, watching my sonar rust right into the North Marine.
Really?
And I was like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know where we were. We would have had to go to find shore and just wait.
Well, and that GPS is a game changer when you go out on the big lakes too. We were on the Great Lakes. And the way that goofy...
that's that picture. I just sent you the picture of the M56,
okay. That, what scared me about the Great Lakes is they have so many little rock islands that just pop up out of nowhere.
It sure feels that way.
You can see...
But you could be like 7 miles out and you can't see shore. You don't know which way. When you're trolling around and you look up, you're like, I have no idea which way south. Because you can't, especially when the sun's directly overhead, when we're like, I have no idea.
But you're cruising 50, 55 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden there's a rock, there's an island in front of you. We were trolling and we couldn't see them, especially if it was a little chop, which there always seems to be on the Great Lakes. It was scary. So that GPS saved us. I'd put the GPS up on the 12 and I'd just sit there and I would watch everything to see, the depth, because the water's
especially
so
being
clear.
brand new
like
to it.
The water's so clear. Looks like we were rolling 4 feet of water the whole time.
And it was 30 feet deep.
12, 30
I know.
feet,
We're like, geez, we're right on the rocks.
Like,
it says we're 11 feet. It's no way, dude. No. And it's,
Well, that was also the scariest part. And then we've talked about it before where, like here, you get into 10 foot of water, you're starting to get spooked because it can come up so fast here and you can have rocks that jut up and stuff.
Well, because the water fluctuation there.
But the Great Lakes, they're in 12 feet is 12 feet.
It's just 12 feet.
You're 12
if
feet
it changes, it's going to be like 3 inches.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's major change.
And so that was always, that GPS was, I just remember just looking at it constantly those days we were out there.
I know when me and Mitch were up in Mille Lacs, we used it one time. We had that fog came in. We're 8 miles away from where we were staying, and we used it to come right in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's interesting. It really does. GPS is huge, and now, gosh, we're putting entire sonars in just for the GPS. Mm-hmm.
I know.
We've got screens for the
it's how important
graphs.
It is,
so yeah, and we got graphs for
it's
the
how
maps
things have evolved and how really it makes you a better fisherman. And I think that when we move this over to the next level, we'll talk about a lot of the features. But if anything, you take anything from this is that if you're out there fishing, go ahead and just have a good time, right? But if you want to try to take it to the next level or repeat or just become better at it, not necessarily competitive fishing like we're doing. You need to have something that you can replicate, So we've talked about this other podcast is replication, but confidence in what you're doing and knowing where you're at, right? Not only for a safety factor, finding your way back, but being able to replicate or at least stay on a spot is huge. Yep. We talked about it when we were out fishing last weekend that we used to throw markers out, right? Yeah. There's still an application for throwing markers for sure. Yeah. But with that, it's very limited now. Yeah. Right.
Because I don't even have markers in my boat anymore.
Well, yeah, there's still a reason we can talk marker fishing or spot fishing at another time. But if you had to go out and buy one of those couple $100 units, if it has GPS on it, I don't care what brand it is, it's going to make you better because it's going to make you safer, but it's going to make you better because you're going to be able to replicate spots or get to an area, know you're on an area within, and locate you very, very, very close.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, for sure.
but no, hey, we want to get more into this. We're going to take this over to the next level. Join us at aof.supercast.tech, and you'll be able to hear the next level and many, many other episodes. So from all of us at All Eyes on Fishing, have a good night.
This has been All Eyes on Fishing. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, go ahead and subscribe to The Next Level. And you can hear longer podcasts and more information on all of your favorite topics. And check us out at alleyesonfishing.com for apparel, blogs, and other information. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. All Eyes on Fishing, leading you to the next level.